From the Meagan Islands to the city-states of Eorzea to the distant land of Tyrol via the magic of podcasting, this is episode 58 of A Podcast Reborn, a show celebrating our journey in the past, present, and possible future of Final Fantasy XIV. This episode is being recorded on Sunday, August 18th of 2024. As always, the following podcast may contain mature language and spoilers for the entire MSQ of Dawntrail. My name is Brian Black, otherwise known as Ro, and my birthday is coming up on September 3rd, but don't worry, I'm not asking any of you to send me things, except for one thing. Yoshi P, all I want is a Cecil Harvey Triple Triad card from my prizes in the next Triple Triad tournament. Yeah, that's not too much to ask, I hope. Moving. Let's say hello to my wonderful co-hosts. First off, our resident cat mom, VTuber, Chaos Gremlin, and Savage Raider Extraordinaire, who you might say has been rather busy in the Arcadian. Hi, Meagan.
Hello. Yes, right now we are stuck on the Bee. Although I will say, I think I've had the most fun of this raiding tier of any that I can remember in a long time. It's just, I don't know, like the difficulty curve is very nice. I would never feel like we're getting stuck. Even though we're progressing slowly, we're always progressing. And of course, I am now a group bee. Honeybee
Nice.
forever.
I cannot wait to hear more about this shortly. Of course, we also have our old man machinist, whom last I heard paid off Zim's retainers so that they would never bring her adventure coffer ever again. What a monster. Hi, Brandon.
Yeah, what can I say? It's just, it needed to be done. She was getting too cocky with all those venture coffers. What do you want from me? But hey, that's not why we're here. You all know what you're here for. You know what you want, and I am here to give it to you. Do you guys think it's weird that Monk and Samurai share gear sets? I mean, I kind of do, but I guess they have a striking resemblance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
fair.
Yeah.
It's fair. Yeah.
I guess it's like they're both like Eastern inspired classes. Like,
Does Dragoon also wear striking?
Nope, they're maiming.
No, yeah.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. They get like actual armor, which is yeah. Ward gets to survive the AoE, and I get to eat shit and die.
One of the Myths of the Realms raids, I don't remember which one. It was so long ago. I got so excited because the last aiming piece I wanted dropped, and I just clicked on it without, even looking at it, thinking, all right, I see aiming in there. Yeah, I didn't even pay attention to the fact that I couldn't knead on it. I just hit the greed button and said, all right, I'm good. I got it. It said maiming.
My aiming.
Speaking of rolling for drops, I have a very crazy loot story.
I have some extremely stupid loot stories. I can.
It won't take that long, but I'm going to. It simply goes like this. I got the minion from the Arcadion this past week. I was in a group of 8 people, as one would think if you're going into the Arcadion. Mm-hmm. None of them left. I remind you, none of them left the raid before the loot dropped. I won on a roll of a 12.
What in the fuck?
I don't know how many people passed, but I have never won a minion on a roll of anything lower than 30, and I won on a 12.
My loot story is really dumb. So we're a raid team, so we're deciding who gets what loot. They were like, okay, you can have the earrings. And so I passed on everything else. And then they were like, nah, you can have the bracelet too. Nobody else sees the bracelet. Everybody left the raid. And I was the last one in there. Like, oh God, was it going to give me the bracelet even though I passed on it? No, the bracelet just vanished.
Unable to obtain.
So that's how my raiding experience went. Before that, I accidentally left before the loot went out when we were grinding Zeralja for accessories. And they were literally only doing it to get me accessories. And I left before the loot went out. So I have ADD. I am medicated, but that doesn't mean that I'm cured, all right? Like, I still do a bunch of really dumb shit. And that... Oh.
I can relate with that story. This was like sometime between Endwalker and Dawn Trail when I was just kind of doing random side stuff. I did what was it? The just regular trials and stuff like that. And the Black Nightmare mount dropped. And I left.
Oh, no.
And yeah. Missed out on it. I've got it since then. I've got it back, but I mean, it's not the rarest thing in the world. It's like a 1% drop. So I mean, you do trials enough, and you'll get to drop if you do like Ifrit Rama, all that stuff. But yeah, I remember feeling pretty bad about that. I think I've also left on probably a couple other drops too. But yeah, it happens. You get so excited about winning, or you just ready to move on to the next thing in your list. It's like, oh shit, that was a drop. Haven't done that with, fortunately, I don't do like savage mount farming really, so I haven't done anything that bad yet.
They need to let us change our mind if we say pass. Like, honestly.
That is true.
Or maybe we can't say need anymore, but then we can switch it to greed, at least. Like, the fact that it just goes in the fucking bin.
That does seem rather odd that you're, like, limited to winning one item per raid a week, and yet you can't just stick around and be like, oh, yeah, well, I could use that too, and everybody else just passes on and says, all right, I'm good, and then it just vanishes into the freaking ether. Like, come on!
In Savage,
the one a week is to keep you from getting OP too quick.
But yeah, raiding has been fun. It's very... there's a lot of mechanics that I think are fun. I know that they're not like... I know you guys are not like big raiders. But I will say, there was one part on Honeybee Lovely where the guides are literally like, good luck! They're like, what is the strategy for here? Dodge! And like, they're literally like, yeah, it's random. There's no way to predict it. There's no like strategy to do it better. Like, you can stack up and move together, but that doesn't really seem to help that much. So just fucking baller. Just do it.
It's just chaos.
It's absolute chaos. And it's like, the little bees are like zooming across the arena. And if you get hit, you get knocked really far. So you're probably going to get knocked into the side. But there's like a little arrow that goes through the arena before, but it doesn't reach all the way across the arena. So you can be like standing on the other side being like, yeah, there haven't been any arrows over here. And then one can just hit you from the other side of the arena. So it's literally like you cannot plant your feet for even 1 second. You have to always be moving, because then if a little warning zone pops up, you can usually run out of it in time, but not always. And like your no knockback thing is like 6 seconds long, and this phase is like a fucking minute long. So that's a party.
All right, so the thing about I know the mechanics from normal mode, of course. So one of the big things with Honeybee Lovely is the whole heart mechanic. You get too many hearts and you get stunned. I imagine in Savage, you get too many hearts and you probably die.
Well, okay, you get too many hearts. It depends on if your healers are, on top of it and everything, and how your health is. You can die. You probably won't unless you're in the middle of the phase where there's all the little hearts, like, the bullet hell stage. Because if you get stunned and you're standing there, you're probably going to get smacked by like 3 hearts, and they do a lot of damage. But the big issue is, every time someone gets 4 hearts and does their little I love you dance, the boss gets buffed. And she transitions every phase with a huge AoE that takes a shit ton of mitigation just to live through it normally. So if you come out of there with more than 2 buffs, you're in trouble. If you get like 3 or more, just wall it. We're fucked. Like, you're not getting out of it. And like, there are so many more mechanics where you can get hearts, and like, it's very. But there's like, during the fucking bullet hell phase, you have to stack up on somebody, and you have to only have 2 hearts. because the thing that hits is going to give you hearts. And so at the same time, you're also dealing with ground puddles. So you have to make sure that that the ground puddles get soaked, because if they don't get soaked, everybody gets a heart and we get a huge amount of damage. And you have to make sure that there are enough people with only 2 hearts to be able to stand in the stack up at the end. And you have to all, gather up for the stack up while the bullet hell is going on. So.
And chew bubblegum at the same time.
Yeah, man.
Oh, and also while doing all this, be like, going through your rotation.
Yes.
Healing and
which is why I am no longer Picto.
You see, I was about to ask how sweaty you were being in that raid.
Oh no, I'm back to Summoner, and I'm parsing really well, and I think it's because nobody's playing Summoner anymore.
Hey,
why is nobody playing Summoner anymore?
Because it's not the new hotness. It's not the big dick.
I guess I'm the hippie summoner who's still playing a summoner, and I'm still enjoying it, and I have been and shall forever remain a fan of my boy Sunny B.
I did the trials as Picto, and I was like, no fucking way am I doing Savage like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is so difficult. And, I'm sure my numbers were shit because it's so difficult to figure out. It really felt like I was playing Black Mage, because you have to play at your feet so often and you have to plant them for so long. And it's like, any time that you don't have a mechanic that you're running around for, you have to be casting, or else. And I'm like, I don't know how you could perfectly do this rotation in a lot of these boss fights where you have a ton of movement. I sometimes have trouble with just, having a freak casts, the fire stuff. And I have to make sure that I bring that one out when I don't have to move, or when I can get away with it. But oh my God.
Yes, I mean, Summoner, you can move and cast pretty easily as long as you don't have Ifrit out.
I think it's the fastest one.
It's caster. Red Mage is better. Red Mage is better for casting and moving, but Summoner's close.
I would say Summoner is more. Really? Summoner is 90% instant cast, whereas Red Mage is literally 50% instant cast.
On off, yeah.
Yeah. And
for bullet hell movement, it would suck for Red Mage for the half where, okay, I'm doing my long cast. Now I can get the fuck out. My long cast. Get the fuck out. And it's a little too fast.
I did Red Mage in Stormblood for a little while, and I did a lot of the trials with the
Byakko
animal guys. Yeah, the auspices. Yeah, and I had fun with that. I didn't mind that. And I remember I was doing friggin' Byakko as a Red Mage, which, if you don't remember, that was a lot of dodging in that fight and a lot of movement. And I remember the jump in and jump out were very helpful for that one, because he did a lot of I'm now going to jump to the edge of the arena and do a giant kick that's going to cover the entire arena. And I could just be like, Ew. Mm-hmm. But I also remember then I did the weapons, which I think that was Shadowbringers?
Weapons with Shadowbringers.
Yeah.
Weapons with Shadowbringers.
Where it was the 2 platforms. And I would just
Diamond Weapon. I hate that fucking fight so much.
I would just backflip off that platform so often that I was like, you know what? I'll go back Summoner. Summoner is like I step out of the Summoner zone just to see if I can do it, and then I'm like, nope. Give me my fucking book.
I'm just gonna sit over here quietly laughing about being a machinist.
I honestly, doing Pictomancer was making me want to do Bard.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, because I was like, oh yeah, Bard's a really complicated rotation, but at least I can keep moving during the whole thing. And then I'm like, if I'm missing Bard, this is probably not a good class for me to play.
I've barely touched Pictomancer aside from doing the Shadowbringers role quests with one of my alts as it, and I'm like, I don't have a clue how this job is supposed to work at all, but hearing that it's almost as immobile as Black Mage is not making me feel too good.
I would say it's about 1/4 of it is you can't move, but the problem is that those spells have really long cast timers, and the slide casting on them is most of the time when you have really long casts, you can do a slide cast pretty effectively, or the time you can slide happens pretty fast in the thing. But I swear to God, it's really non-existent in the giant Picto spells, in your muses. And so, so if you want to know how to slide cast, get an emote icon and put it on your bars. And then when you're casting something and the emote lights up, then you can move. So that's like,
I didn't know about that trick.
that I can't remember. Some TikToker or Let's Player, some YouTuber, I can't remember. I've learned that I saw like some tips you might not know about Final Fantasy 14. So I'm now spreading that. But it's very good for the God, I can't remember what it's called, like Ruby, whatever, for Summoner, and for a Pictomancer, it's good for your motifs, which are the super long casts you do to put things on the little canvas that you can then spend. So you can't cast anything until you have the motif on the canvas. And so most of the time, you're just building up all your motifs and then waiting for the burst window and then spending them all. Which means during burst window, you're usually pretty mobile because all of that stuff, once you've like built up the motif, spending it is usually an instant cast. But you have to play fucking 4D chess to figure out how to get all the motifs casted and not get murdered. And I was on the ground so much. I was dying all the time. And like my raid mates were like, do we need to go over mechanics again? I'm like, no, I know the mechanics. I'm just I want to call it greeting, but it's like it's just doing my rotation, you know? Like
I'm just trying to paint a pretty picture, damn it.
I did enjoy doing the MSQ as Picto. I do like it as a class in general. It's just really hard to, it's like, what is it? It's like easy to learn, hard to master. And it's especially hard to master when like you're also trying to master something else at the same time.
You know what? It feels, I mean, like, by no means would I say for me it's on the same level as you, because I mean, you're trying to do this with Savage content. And for me, I'm just doing normal stuff, but it's kind of almost feels like the same reason why I switched from Machinist to Summoner. Love playing Machinist in the MSQ, have no problem playing it, but like for like trial content, for like the expert dungeons and stuff like that, I just like Summoner because it's more comfortable, and yes, because it's fucking easy.
The thing about Summoner is that not only is it easy, but it's useful. You have a personal shield, which has saved my ass so many times. Like, that's part of my 4D chest. I was like figuring out exactly what I'm going to put on my personal shield and like making sure I have it up for certain things. And also you get to contribute Addle, which we fucking need in Savage now that bosses are getting buffed, and like that they're just general, like Black Cat's AoE, like when she does her knockback, if I do not Addle there, we are eating shit. We are dying. There's sorry.
Oh no, one thing, I guess for you this would be different because you're doing well. You don't do ultimate stuff, right? You've just done Savage so far, right?
No, yeah. Well, I mean, okay. I've tried it in the past. I don't think I got very far. The thing is that our group is fairly casual. It's like other adults with, jobs. None of them have kids. Well, no, one of them has a kid now. He just had a kid last year. But we're not like super hardcore, but we do want to like take it seriously and clear content, but also we goof around and we joke around, and so we're not like super sweaty, but we're experienced.
The reason why I ask is because one observation I've made about myself with Final Fantasy 14, and honestly I think it would apply to any MMO, because I was kind of like this with World of Warcraft 2, is that when it comes to single player games, like PC console games and stuff like that, I love challenging myself and doing things at the hardest content. I don't mind getting my ass kicked in Elden Ring and trying to learn how to do a fight and learning how to do the parries and dodges and stuff. I love challenging content in single player games. I think when it comes to MMOs, I love doing stuff easy and comfortable, especially when I'm in a group environment with other players, because I would feel terrible if I caused other people to have a bad experience.
And you see, that's kind of that's the rub, especially with Savage rating, because there are so many mechanics where it's like everybody has to do this or else you will wipe the group. And that can be a lot of pressure. I definitely understand that, but I really do think that they have done a good job of making sure that there is easy, fun content for people who don't want to deal with that pressure. That's
I
still
cleared
at
cleared
least a
Treasure
little bit
Dungeon.
challenging, at least a little bit. You know, it's not just like absolute brain dead easy mode. Like there are things you have to think about and do, but then they also have the, okay, everybody has to bring their A game to pass this. And like, yeah, it can be frustrating and upsetting and you can feel really bad when you're the one that wipes the group, but it's like, everybody's gonna do it at least one time. That's the thing. We always do this, the fucking Family Guy Spider-Man joke of like, everybody gets one.
Everyone gets one.
But then we're always like,
Meagan,
I'm
sometimes I think I need 3 or 4.
Yeah, that's the thing. I will be like, everybody gets one. I say on my third. Like, it's just, you know, like you gotta be chill about it. And I think the fact that because everybody knows that they are gonna fuck up at some point, that people are a lot less toxic, because in World of Warcraft, being not great at the game is seen like as a personal offense or like as an affront. Like, how dare you come to raid and not have BIS and not have all of your best reputation gear that you ground for 5 weeks to get.
You're not using deadly boss mods. You're not using
you're not
quick or easy auras or whatever.
You're not using the best spec for your class. How dare you? And it's like Final Fantasy is like everybody, like, you can clear the content with any combination of characters as long as you have, you know, 2 tanks, 2 healers, and 4 DPS. It doesn't fucking matter. And so. And like because there are mechanics where one player can easily wipe the group, everybody's going to wipe the group at some point. So it's like, I don't know. I guess I feel like it teaches people more empathy. Like, I've been in a lot of random ass raid situations, and I've been in a lot of what they call trap parties, which is where you get into a party finder and they say like, or especially if you get into a true trap party is one where they say that they've already cleared, and they do a party finder and you get in and it turns out that they don't know what's happening. They haven't cleared and you just wipe for 2 hours and then they're like, sorry, bye. And you're like, great. But I've never seen people get like frothing angry or like cuss people out or like, you know, everybody's just like, they'll either like get quiet or they'll be laughing about it or whatever. And like, maybe they are quietly, you know, perma blocking the party leader, but they're not going to say that. Like, it's such a different environment because also, I don't know, World of Warcraft has been around for so long that like the internet used to be just the most toxic wasteland ever.
I'm sorry, used to be?
I was going to say.
You don't know, man. It has gotten so much better. Like, it used to be like, what's the funniest thing you could do on the internet? Just throw out a bunch of slurs, you know, like, they said a racist thing. That's so edgy. Like, that used to just be the norm. And so, especially as a woman in gaming, like, oh my God, it has come so far, especially Final Fantasy 14, I think, is the best MMO or the best like online gaming experience I've ever had. And like, especially when it comes to being a woman, and especially like when it comes to being a woman doing like party finder, like random groups, because it was a fucking roulette spin, like freaking Russian roulette doing it on WoW. Cause like I would try so hard not to get into voice, or like you would have to get into voice to hear the directions. And it would be like, oh my God, there's this thing that's going to happen that's going to wipe the group. They're not doing the thing they need to do. Do I say something? If I use my voice, they're going to know I'm a woman. And I don't know how they're going to react to that. And like, I had to make that calculation, you know, like twice a week. Oh man.
I have a friend who still plays World of Warcraft. She literally uses a voice changer to make herself sound like a guy.
Like, honestly, wow. It's like this whole other layer of shit that you have to, it's like, even if you're playing with people who are not weird, you have had so many experiences with people being weird that is still like something you worry about, something you think about, a calculation you make, you know, like, do I speak up? Are they going to get weird about it? Do they seem cool? I don't know. Have they said anything sexist in chat? I I don't know. And so like, it's always on your mind. Like, it's like this whole other mental load that you have to deal with.
Yeah.
And you can't just be like, here he goes, what's up? About Final Fantasy, honestly, I've dropped that mental load like 4 years ago and I've not picked it back up. And like, I have no problem like just jumping into a random Discord or be like, hey guys.
Cool.
Yes. So that's why whenever people are like, oh, great community, lol, I'm like, it is though. You don't understand.
So
I was there, Gandalf, 10,000 years ago. When the stars were flying and I was constantly told to go make a sandwich.
I have a question for you, going a little bit back to the Savage rating stuff. And this is partially for me, maybe, but also maybe for our listeners out there. Since you got the Honeybee Lovely, you've done Black Cat. So what is, as someone who's beaten Black Cat on Savage, what's the biggest advice you could give for doing Black Cat Savage?
Oh god, just memorize your part. And listen to the call outs and just hyper focus on what you specifically are doing, because Black Cat is very like positional heavy, and it's like you will have a intercardinal position and you will have a partner, and it's like, and there are times where it's like, okay, make sure that you're on the left side of Black Cat, and make sure you're on the right side of Black Cat. And so it's very like where you specifically need to be. You're gonna have to like figure out your intercardinal position, like wherever she's gonna put down a little marker, and you have to run to your intercardinal position around the marker. And then like there's just like it's all positionals, and like don't worry about anybody else's shit. You know, like if you know that you are in Southwest and your partner is the off tank, like just don't worry about anything else. Like let the raid leader call it out. And if you are the raid leader, I'm sorry, I don't understand how you do this. But you're doing Heidelin's work, so you know, good job.
Awesome. Brandon.
Yes.
What have you been up to? I know before I hit record, you said you hadn't been playing too much lately.
Yeah, just been like, there's been a lot of changes in my personal life happening. You know, so I'm on some new medication. School just started back up. You know, we're trying to get back into the groove of that. So a lot of times after I get done with work and, you know, we deal with dinner, we deal with, you know, bedtime activities for our children. I'm just like, I'm just going to go upstairs and read until I fall asleep. I am one rule quest away from being done with all of those. It's the melee one. I'm leveling Reaper to accomplish that. But honestly, I haven't really done a whole lot. I've started building up the other Manderville weapons that I never finished during Endwalker.
Okay, you can answer this for me. Is it just Poetics?
It is all Poetics all the time.
Nice. Oh, okay. I need to go buy some, what is that? The ore, because I'm capped on Poetics. I haven't for a while. And I'm like, what the fuck do I spend these on? All right.
Now you know.
Yeah, I am looking forward to, once I get done with this, my next goal is to start farming the Vanguard dungeon for glamour purposes, because y'all have seen what that gear looks like. It's beautiful. Yeah. Freaking annoys me like hell that you can't dye the weapons, even though the rest of the armor's dyeable. But you know what? I don't feel like ranting about that right now. So yeah, that's mostly what I've been up to. Just I'll be honest, I have not been clearing the raids every week just because I have not had the energy or the mental spoons to get in there and run that, you know, once a week. But I have done it once, and I am very interested to see where they're going with this story. And I know we got a really long wait before we figure out the next chapter, but it's going to be fun nonetheless. I'm betting on it.
I mean, not as long as you think, though, because one thing, if I remember correctly, as far as like Endwalker goes, around the time that I got my weapon from the first part of Pandemonium, around the time that I got my weapon, it was like a week later that Yoshi P was doing his next live letter for the next content pack.
I mean, it could be. We still have the next major patch is going to open up the first chapter of the Alliance raid. So
right,
we'll see what happens there.
I'm super excited for that. The Alliance raids, well, I mean, because it's based off of Final Fantasy XI, and I played Final Fantasy XI for like a good 3-4 years, man, maybe more than that, probably close to 5 to 6. For people who are familiar with Final Fantasy XI, I played it from the very beginning up through Treasures of Ergen, which is kind of funny because Treasures of Ergen was, I think, the third or fourth expansion, and it has some of the characters that you encounter in Dawn Trail here, like Gerfurler, the big troll that you fight at the end of that one dungeon. Mm-hmm. He was in the Final Fantasy XI expansion. Same name and practically same model too.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yep. So definitely good times there. It's funny because one of the things I had, like, I don't do copious show notes or anything like that, but one question I was going to toss it to you, I'm still going to, is like, what are you hoping to see in 7.1 from like a story or lore point of view? And while I'm down for anything as far as wall shenanigans and what happens with the key and stuff like that, I think honestly I'm more excited for the Alliance Raid story right now than I am for whatever the MSQ is going to be, because I don't know what the MSQ is going to be.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's going to be pretty wild because we have so many places we can go to from here as to what exactly it is we start looking into. Like, do we start trying to figure out, hey, where the heck did you guys over here in Heritage Found even come from? Do we start, unwrapping the whole thing of, everybody who was trapped inside the dome? Do we figure out how to resettle them after they've, had a 30-year time jump in, a Terral they may not remember? Do we run around and give counseling to Aaronville because he lost his really hot mom? I'm sorry, did I say that out loud? I mean, I don't know. Maybe we figure out how to take that cool goblet and, get everybody back to the first.
I mean,
that's the thing. I'm like, I want to go back to the first. I want to. I feel like that will probably be like Ishtola's first decision or want to do, and like we can also maybe get back to the 13th. And I want more. I want interdimensional portal travel. I want to visit the shards. I want to start doing fucking worlds of Final Fantasy.
What if Rin and Gaia are able to cross over and become official Scion members going forward?
Oh my god.
They're going to have to figure out how to get around the whole Gaia is technically not introduced if you didn't do the Eden raids thing.
Just like have a little like, just have some variable dialogue of like, if you haven't met her before, just have Rin be like, this is my friend Gaia. She helped me out with something. And then you can be like, oh, okay.
While you were gone, we fixed the empty. Like, wait, what?
Or they could do like they did before, where they made the Crystal Tower series mandatory. They could.
They'll never make a 8-man raid series mandatory. I cannot foresee them ever making that required. That seems like a step too far.
I just feel like while Gaia is really interesting and cool, you do not need to know her entire. You do not need to be a level 6 friend and unlock her tragic backstory in order to appreciate her, or to just have her have your character interact with her. Because Brandon? We've left the first, and the first is like its own thing. You could literally be like, hey, since you were gone, we did this stuff. You'd be like, okay,
fair.
Cool.
Yeah.
Brandon, as far as they'll never do that, as far as making an 8-player thing mandatory for story, I will simply say this. I never imagined that they would give us 8-player trust trials. I could see them, if they really wanted us to do the 8-player raid, I could see them doing a trust version of the raids if they felt it important enough.
You do have a point there. I could see that happening. I honestly don't foresee it happening, but it is possible now, I suppose.
Yeah.
Although
they have the technology.
Although let's be real here, if they do that, I want to see, I want to hear Thancred's reaction to encountering the evil, twisted version of himself mixed with Ranjit. I forgot the name of that thing. So,
oh yeah, the
was
one
it
that calls you
Fatebreaker?
Yeah, it's probably that.
I think it's Fatebreaker, if I remember right.
I could go look it up, but I'll be honest, I don't really care.
What about you, Meagan? Like, is there any? I mean, you said going back to the first and stuff, but is there anything as far as like Dawn Trail loose threads that you want to see?
I just want to hang out with Lamati and Coda more. I'll be good. I just, cat siblings. That's all I want.
I'm interested in like. For some people might find this boring, but the whole thing about, Tuliyollal and oh my gosh, why am I zoning out on Vitra's land?
Rods at Han.
Rods at Han Thavner.
Yeah.
I'm interested in kind of the whole political landscape of not just like their alliance, but like how world communication and like how things are going to play out with like with Eorzea, with the East and stuff like that. There's a lot of potential there. I don't know if they're going to necessarily tap into that because I don't know if that's necessarily the kind of story that a lot of people want to see, but it's the kind of stuff that interests me.
Yeah, I would love to see like I don't know, the new Garleans coming over and bowling like a trade network, or love to see Julius again.
Yeah.
See, especially, well, I don't know, give Alize and Alphino something to do, or like to actually go back with them to Garland to give the lessons they learned. I would like to see that.
Given that they talk about that a fair amount during the opening of the expansion MSQ, I'm expecting to see some of that at some point during a patch. I don't know if I'm willing to say it'll be in the 0.1.
Yeah.
Here's a particular scene I do want to see. Basically, let's just say Tuliyollal says, "Hey, all the city-states of Eorzea in the Far East, why don't you come on down? We'll have a little summit, maybe, open some negotiations for trade or whatever." And the boats pull up. We see all the world leaders walk out. Lamati's there to greet them. And she takes one look at Merlip and goes, "Whoa, mama."
I have a prediction for the trial series. I don't think that the trial is going to be I don't think that the trials are going to be incorporated into the MSQ. My prediction is that the trial series is Estinian Monster Hunter.
Oh,
honestly, that would be fucking great.
I think that's how you do. Like, people are wondering, like, man, what's up with Estinian? Why did he go there and stuff like that? I mean, they did the whole thing in the cinematic, right? With that big ass monster. I'm like, what if the trials is just you and Estinian going after some big ass monsters?
Yeah, totally.
That could be a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and it could be like sort of like when Graha came with us to Egalia, or like maybe we could be like, we get separated from him during the actual raiding part or something like that. Or it would be hilarious if like he was just like on like an NPC that like we can't interact with, and he's like outside the arena, and every now and then he just like jumps up and stabs the monster. Or maybe he like stuns the monster and then we get to do our like big damage or something like that.
Estinian does a big ass jump and comes down so hard it destroys part of the terrain, and you have to
God, yeah. And then we're all fucking mad at him.
I mean, he's strong. He's too strong, after all.
He would absolutely do that. They'd be like, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were good enough to handle that." And we'd be like, "Estinian!
You stinky elf."
But yeah, that's at least that's my thought for like how they're going to handle the trials and stuff. That's the thing about this. I mean, like, we know every expansion kind of has a pattern of what kind of content we expect to see, and that's one thing. But I feel like there's a lot of unknowns as far as like what form a lot of that stuff is going to take as far as the stories that are connected to it. Because to me, the story and the lore that's connected to the content is just as important as the content itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. So here's my question. Do you prefer the Endwalker model of the trial series where it's part of the MSQ, or do you prefer it being a side content piece?
I'm fine with it either way. I think there's an advantage from it being outside of the MSQ in that you can tell a separate compartmentalized story and explore different stuff, which can plant seeds for later content. Whereas if you plant it directly in the MSQ, if you put it directly in the MSQ, that does two things. One, it kind of, I think, makes the developers feel like they have to keep it at a modest difficulty level so that people can get through it. I mean, they have been ramping up the difficulty for things like the expert dungeons are harder. Some of these trials are trickier and more interesting, and people were complaining about that. So, I mean, I know they're not afraid to make things more challenging in like MSQ content and such, but there's still, I feel like there is only so far you can go. Whereas if they do the trial series, then I feel like they got more freedom to, like, if it's just a hard trial, it's a hard trial. And then Savage, hold on to your butts. But to answer your question, I'm fine with it either way. Either model works for me.
Okay.
For some reason, you cut out when you asked the question. I think I gather what it was.
Oh,
I'm not 100% sure.
Well, he had asked if I preferred trials being part of the MSQ or it being a separate series thing, you know, like the weapons were, like the auspices were and such.
I agree that I can go either way. Although I've really liked a lot of the not related stories because they can get really wild with it. You know, we can get fucking giant robot battles or hanging out with Sataru.
Hey, we still got Hildebrand coming.
Oh, yeah. Maybe that'll be the trial series.
Wait. Hold the fucking phone. Don't remind you? I'm sorry. We all stand Hildebrand in this show, damn it.
No, you guys can go over there standing Hildebrands. No, thank you. He was a nuisance I had to get through to get my cool looking weapons at the end of Endwalker. Until then, get away.
Oh my god.
Watch them tie one step of the relic weapon to Hildebrand. Just one. Okay. Next question, as we are already kind of heading toward being done with the show. Wow. Important question. I mean, I know it's been 5 months since the waifu wars and the husbando hullabaloo. And I know this could wait for March, but it also can't wait. So my question for you, I'm going to start with Brandon first, even though I feel like Meagan has the answer faster. Brandon, I want to know your most valuable waifu and most valuable husbando of Dawn Trail up to this point. I would prefer you use new characters, but if you have to use ones that have already been around for a while, that's fine.
I'm going to have to break your preference by saying the husbando's obvious. It's Erenville. Waifu, I don't know. There are so many like incredible female characters in this entire expansion. I mean, I could name obscure ones that I just, have developed an attachment to just because, I don't know, something about their model in particular is just very pretty to me. Someone like Kakuya or Shale in Solution 9. It is the real answer probably Wuklamot? Yes, but I feel like that's also kind of the boring answer. I don't know. This is going to take like spreadsheets and years of internal debate for me to figure out.
All right. Meagan, how about you?
Well, the obvious answer is the cat siblings. Kona is definitely my husbando pick because he's just he's new and he's cute. And like I really did love having Erenville around so much also, but I was like, who's this guy? Like, novelty. And I think Wuklamot is like, I love her for her personality and I think she's super cute and I stand a muscle mommy. But I'm also just like really fucking obsessed with the look of Black Cat's character when she's not in her giant cat form. She's so hot. Oh my god. Her hair, her eyes. Oh my god, those eyes. And like her little outfit with like her knee pad, like one knee pad. Like, what are you getting on one knee for, girl? And like, oh god, her and the fucking her older sister, who's the lightning,
the fourth boss.
Yes. Oh my god, this whole raid is just like waifus.
That's my answer, Eutrope.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
my god.
she is my answer for most valuable waifu. Hands down.
They're just they're both so cute, but there's something about the color scheme of see, now I can't remember her name, which means I'm a fake fan, but I'm just like enamored with her look of like the short hair with the two colors, like the little blue tips and the bright pink hair and the vivid green. I'm not looking at a screenshot right now. This is from memory. With like vivid green and gold eyes. Oh my god. And the tan skin with like the pink offset color of her clothes. Oh god. I like tomboy girls a lot. And like she's hitting all my buttons. All she needs is abs, and I will never recover. And in my imagination, she definitely has them.
My most valuable husbando choice. I don't think either of you are going to guess it. Like, I'll give you 4 guesses, and I'll give you each 4 guesses, and you still won't come up with it.
But cool, Jaja.
That was going to be my first guess.
No. Up there, but no.
This is a tough one.
Guess it.
That robot guy who was the caretaker of Zoralja's kid.
Fucking hell, you got it in.
Yes!
God!
Am I that predictable?
Well, you do like...
I do have weird tastes, yes, but no. As far as husbandos goes, as far as like, if I was to pick a husbando, just obvious for me, not as much like appearance and stuff. This is more of a just personality character choice, man. Otis, absolutely.
I couldn't remember his name. I kept wanting to call him Steiner. I'm like, no, that's the FF9.
Oh, well, yeah, because I mean, Otis is basically the Stein. It's like that kind of personality, right? Although not exactly, but close enough that if you played FF9, it's like, oh, this is their stand-in for Steiner, like how Speen is supposed to be maybe a Garnet, but not.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they even have 2 gem names. Come on,
right? Yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's Otis was my favorite as far as like male characters husbando go. Bakul Jaja would be number 2, and Kona would be 3.
Bakul Jaja would be my hear me out husbando pick.
I don't know. I
don't think a lot of people need to hear you out. I think a lot of people are on board.
I was going to draw a second part of the beach comic that I did where like my character is sweating over Wiklamat, like they go to the beach and Bakul Jaja's theirs, and like my character's like, oh my fucking god, like sweating even more. Like I need a Lone.
Oh man. Yeah. Bakul Jaja. I don't know. A lot of his face turn kind of felt forced to me just because I spent the entire early part of the expansion going, could this guy be any more of a complete and absolute tool with no regard for other people's lives? What is happening right now? And it's like, oh, tragedy made me this absolutely horrible person. I'm like, well, I'm not willing to give you the benefit of the doubt that easily, my guy.
To me, it felt like he was just really, really immature. Like, he hadn't really experienced the outside world, and he'd been raised in this really toxic environment. And I don't think he really understood the gravity of what he was doing most of the time. And like,
and also I would say that like his bravado and like the kind of like the narcissism stuff like that, consider where he was brought up, because of like how important he was, all the praise and stuff he was giving. He was kind of raised basically being told that he's the big shit, right? So when he finally gets humbled by Wiklamat, that messes you up. That makes you think about yourself and your life choices. You know,
I guess you got a point there. It's just him freeing Valley Garmonda was kind of like, all right, you've crossed the moral event horizon for me. And
that was kind of a dick move.
That was more than a dick move. That was you pretty much just guaranteed the potential deaths of nearly everybody on these 2 continents What are
think
you
that
doing, you ass?
I don't think he was thinking of it like that. I don't think he
No.
was being that malicious. I think I think when he says he was doing it when the intent was to buy time, I think that was his actual intent.
I
Cool
think
Jaja
that
comes
because-
across to me as someone who doesn't think of consequences when he does things.
Well, and also he had just gotten his ass fucking kicked by Zerolja before that. So I think he's like, okay, my opponents are super fucking strong. They could probably handle this. This will just buy me some time. I assume that was his thought process, or I don't know. He just seemed like an immature teenager to a degree, and then he got humbled and he grew up, and he was really. But you're like, dear God, imagine it, like when he like ran away crying. I was literally like, oh no, I didn't want that. Oh, I feel bad now. Like, I don't know. I thought that he had a good arc and that he was cute, and that like also, well, you know, I have a bad history of, and I can change him. And he's literally open to being changed. So there you go, 10 out of 10.
I do still have 3 more characters to play through this MSQ on again, so I'll give it another evaluation whenever I get to that point. But I don't know. He's a hard sell for me. Here's another entry that I forgot about. I don't remember his name, but he's the Hrothgar guy who like freaks out every time he thinks he's offended Wooklamot, and then she's like, I told you to stop doing that. And he goes, okay, I won't do it anymore.
I'll stop doing that.
I love that guy. He was hysterical.
Absolutely.
I feel bad I can't remember his name, but
it's Wook something.
It's Wook something.
Wook Evru? That sounds vaguely familiar?
Evu? Evu? I think
Wook,
it ends with a VU, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that was when I realized that like Wook must be like some clan name or something. Like,
yeah, it is Wook Evu. That's right.
Yep.
But yeah, he was very funny.
Rounding out waifu, most valuable waifu for me would probably also be Wooklamot Duh and Honeybee Lovely, because that song is just infectious.
Oh my God. When you're doing the raid, she has all these lines in her country southern accent. She's like, don't hold it against me if I kill you. And she's like, y'all having a good time? And we're all like, no.
Maybe it's because I grew up in Texas, but that accent just annoys the crap out of me.
Oh my God, I love it. It's so great. I know it's fake. That's what makes it great, is that you know that she's putting it on to like seem like a sweet southern belle, but she'll stomp on your face the second she gets a chance. I stand a desperate idol clinging to fame. But yeah, it's been really fun. We've my raid team has literally been like making outfits for like each raid boss as we go. So we're hoping to get Honeybee down tonight and then move on to the next boss where we all came up with leather daddy outfits.
Oh man.
Well, you got an entire zone where the quest reward gear was all that kind of outfit, so not like you're not going to have much to choose from there.
Yep. Oh man, I've got the leather jacket and like bikini top with like straps on top, and then like the 2B leggings on the bottom, and then like big boots. And of course, I'm now Hrothgar cat mommy.
Nice.
Of
course.
For Honeybee, we've like basically came up with a uniform for being group Bs, kind of all independently. We showed up in almost the exact same outfit of like the quadrille ruffle dress with like the layers, the tiers of the fluff.
I want a screenshot so I can post it on Blue Sky.
Oh my God. I have many.
Feel free to share.
But yeah, like here, trying to.
Oh, she's doing it right now.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, I am.
We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. I will go ahead and tell you, spoiler alert for next March, I am going to have Kakuya on my waifu picks for the next tournament, because even though we never actually technically meet the true Kakuya, her model and just her character arc, especially during that last zone.
That whole zone, I was like so fucking frustrated and ready to goddamn cry, because I'm like, Aravel, fucking talk to her. Talk to your mother, Aravel. Arvo, it's almost over. Doctor, you're being avoiding. You're being avoided. This is what you always do. You're going to regret this. Stop. Have an actual conversation. Do it, you bitch. But like, she was being just as avoidant, being like, we're going to have a happy fun time. I'm like, girl, you're about to die. Oh my God. Have one emotional conversation, you bitches.
Technically, she's already dead. That's just a recreation of her.
I know. I'm like, we're going to have fucking full contact family therapy here in a second when I put you two in headlocks and make you admit that you're sad about this.
Do you realize that in that one raid alone, just in the first part of this Arcadian raid, we have 3 picks that are likely going to be in the waifu wars in March?
Yep.
Yeah. I hope that
one could only wonder what the next wing will bring. We need some better husbandos than the bomber.
I know that eldest sister cat lady is going to be coming back because her story is like the driving force of the raid. But I'm like, I hope they all come back. I hope we even get to see Honeybee again and like have her come and like throw shade at us for fine. You may have beaten me, but you'll never be as popular as me.
I forget if we talked about this, but are we all pretty much in agreement here that Elven or Elizin, is it Elizin or Elven? I always mix my things up.
In the source, it's Elizin. In FF11, it was Elvon, and then in the first, they're just elves.
Okay, so Elizin. Okay, are we all pretty much in agreement that the Elizin guy is the present in disguise?
Yeah, absolutely.
It has to be, right?
The manga drawer?
Yeah.
No. But
the guy who is just kind of, it just seems to be off to his side, and it's like, oh, interesting stuff like that. I feel like he's just a present undercover bossing it.
I don't think so. I think that, okay, as a fellow fucking manga drawer, I am like a creative person. He really feels like another wandering minstrel self-insert creator character. So I'm fully willing to believe that he is just there to like make the savages funnier as you're imagining them as like a Shonen Jump manga, because that's how he's talking about. He's like, it would be cooler if there was more punching and hardcore fighting and blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh my God. Oh my God. And I'm just imagining that he's like drawing everybody with, giant tits and asses and like doing like JoJo poses. And I'm like, I want to read this.
I do. Speaking of the Arcadian, I do have a question for any member of CBU 3 that may be listening to this show, which is probably none of you, but you know what? I'm just going to go out there and hope. When did you guys have a company screening of the classic Arnold Schwarzenegger film, The Running Man? Because this plot is lifted straight out of it, and I'm here for it. I'm just curious.
Oh, right. Yeah, the whole retirement thing, but they're actually dead. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's just like a very well-worn trope in like dystopian fiction. And like, don't get it wrong, this Solution 9 is a fucking dystopia, all right?
Oh yeah,
it really is.
It's literally like, what if capitalism but souls? It's like,
we can all agree that at least some part of the MSQ in the patches is going to be breaking that whole thing, right?
Yeah, I really hope so, because they're like, it's just our culture. I'm like, your culture is making me sick.
Yeah. I think on that note, we're gonna bring things to an end here. I'm definitely kind of settled into basically my casual gameplay mode of this, but like I said, a month from now, we're probably already going to start hearing like a live letter announcement stuff about the next patch coming in, which it's nice that these things happen like once every 4 months or so. So, like 2 months away from it, they're already starting to tease info about it. So I am hopeful and excited that come next episode, because I think the next episode may not be 2 weeks away, but more like a month away, because I'm going to be busy as hell on Labor Day weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Gotta love retail. So next episode's probably in a month, but like I said, by then we'll have a lot more to talk about. I'm very curious to see how far you get in Savage, Meagan, because one thing I've been hearing and seeing from a lot of people is that not that Savage is necessarily easy, but people are having a smoother time progressing
Yeah.
through Savage than in any other expansion.
I extremely agree with that. I will say that the mechanics are definitely, it's like a lot is happening at once, but like each little piece is easy to learn. And so I feel like the difficulty curve of the fights and like the learning curve has been fantastic. Like I've never felt like we're getting stuck. We've always been like making more progress every pull, and like that makes raiding feel so much better. Like I have never had a night where we're just hitting a wall and grinding and I'm just like exhausted and I just want to log off, but I'm just like sticking it out because everybody else is sticking it out. Like that has not happened once. And and the theming is really fun and the music's really great. And like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this raid tier. And so even though, you know, we're slow going, we're still on 2, and I know a lot of people have already breezed through the whole thing. I think it's great. And I think like if you wanted to get into Savage raiding, this is a great tier to do it, because it's the fights ramp up the mechanics, but it's more like they teach you some core mechanics and then they start stacking those mechanics on top of each other. But it's like once you know how to do this one mechanic, and it's like, okay, then just add this other mechanic. It's really good to help you build that like skill, that brain process of like, oh, okay, a raid, you know, raid means doing these mechanics, and like, oh yeah, it's a great tier. Come Savage raid with us. Give it a shot. It's not necessarily easy, but you can learn it.
I'll use this as a segue to are you streaming your rating, and if so, where can people find that? No?
No. Well, I don't stream Final Fantasy 14. I find Final Fantasy 14 streams to be kind of difficult to watch. I think it's because the characters are so small and there's so much shit going on, and there's a giant fucking bar at the bottom. Like, I feel like the only people who want to watch Savage raiding are other Savage raiders, just to like see what your strat was. And like, I also find it very hard to be entertaining while I'm trying to raid. And
also, you can't really interact with the chat room when you're trying to dodge shit.
No. Yeah, definitely not.
I'm also in Discord, like joking around with my raid team, and I don't want them to be like, "Are you streaming this?" But yeah, I've mostly I've been streaming a lot of The Sims lately, actually, just because I've been kind of brain dead when it comes to streaming time, and that's a really simple game, and I can also do incredibly unhinged shit in The Sims. Like right now, they just released a new expansion pack that's all about love and dating, and they introduced a polyamory mechanic. So I started invading marriages and romancing both the husband and wife to get one of them to propose marriage to me so I can join the throuple, I can join the marriage, which is something that you absolutely can do. And the new pack is like, all the furniture from it is a real throwback to The Sims 2 when everything was like leopard print and hot pink. And like, so I've made myself what I call the fuck box. Which is which is a tiny home. And the thing about being a tiny home is that you get a boost to building relationships. And so it's literally just like a shoebox that's painted leopard print, and it has like a vibrating heart bed inside it. And it has like a picnic blanket on the roof because you can fuck on the picnic blanket. It's just full of fuck spots. And I have already seduced the goths, which are a very iconic Sims family, a husband and wife. And I'm like, do I just go until one of them proposes to me and then I divorce them and then I go after another couple? Maybe. Or maybe I just keep invading marriages. It's polyamory, baby. I have convinced them to no longer be jealous about anything. You could just talk them into it. And so, who knows? That's what I'm doing. I was also thinking about bringing back my fucking Manny the Man-Whore series, where I make an incredibly hideous sim and then I father babies with every townie. So, well, actually, the original series that I was doing streaming that I gave up on, but I might go back to, was the Alien Invasion, because aliens have a human disguise. So I made the human really handsome and good looking, but then his alien form is like this skinny little green man with a giant head and like all this crazy stuff. So he would go out and seduce women as like a handsome, his name is Hugh Man.
Of course it is.
He's a normal man. And then when they agree to have a baby, then the baby comes out and it's a fucking green alien baby. And then he's like, peace, and leaves. So trying to...
Where can people find all of this chaos if they want to see it in action?
I stream on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/catmommeagan on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific. I might be changing stream times at some point soon, but I'm not sure because I need to start working out at a gym soon, and Ward was going to want to do that, so I probably might need to move my streaming to earlier in the day. But yeah, it's Catmom Meagan. You can see some of my Twitch clips on TikTok, which is also Catmom Meagan, or on YouTube, which is also Catmom Meagan. And you can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky, which are also Catmom Meagan, and Tumblr, which is Catmom Meagan. Oh, also, I'm writing a long form fiction on Wattpad and on Inkit, and that one's called The Alchemist's Daughter, and it's kind of popping off right now. It's a lot of fun. It's like it is a it's a girl in a Victorian fantasy setting cutting her hair and sneaking into school because girls are not allowed to study alchemy, and of course there are a lot of hot boys there and shenanigans.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shenanigans will ensue.
It's like a fantasy romantic comedy drama. It's like Hogwarts, but I'm not transphobic.
Brandon, where can people find your shenanigans?
Most of my shenanigans are to be found anywhere you see the BMAT, THEBMATT. I've got that handle pretty much on every form of social media. You can catch up with all of my writing, which has mostly been D&D related lately, but there are some Dawn Trail related items on there at yourquestlogisfull.wordpress.com. And you can also catch me on, speaking of D&D, the podcast +5 to Hit, where Ro is trying his best to make the characters all tear each other's throats apart.
If only I'd stop rolling such terrible rolls. I've had such bad rolls. Great for the party, just bad for the evil bad guys.
Yep.
You can find me on Blue Sky on the Podcast Reborn Blue Sky account. If you want to find me there, you can also email the show at apodcastreborn@gmail.com. We are part of Bonus Roll Productions. You can go to bonusroll.gg to find us there. Go to the shop, get some Podcast Reborn merch if you are so inclined. Theme music, the intros, outros for this show are provided by Husky by the Geek. Link to his YouTube channel will be included in the show notes. And of course, any music that's derivative of Final Fantasy music that you hear on this podcast belongs to Square Enix, and no copyright infringement is intended. That is going to do it for episode 58. Like I said, episode 59 probably coming to you guys in mid-September, as we'll more than likely be taking Labor Day weekend off. So we will talk to you then. For Meagan, for Brandon, and of course for Butterscotch and Bon Bon, this is Brian Black. Until next time, may your loot rolls be high, your glamour fantastic, and your duties always complete. Brandon.
And also for my children who have both individually come in to try and tell me, hey, you promised us frozen yogurt, what's taking so long? But anyway, yeah, well, we're about to go get some. I'd ship you some, but it wouldn't survive the trip. But here's a question for you guys to wrap us up. How do you avoid getting banned for using third-party tools?
How?
You use them in your first and your second parties, and then you quit.
I don't know why I'm laughing at that stupid joke. It's good. It's good. It gets my seal of approval. Goodbye, everybody.